It's Tuesday, July 22nd. I'm Jim Check with Now Media. With me, Andrea Jensenberg.
Good morning.
We're here with the really big show. Lots going on. The Premier's won a pipeline. That's like plain and simple. Canadians fear job losses. Foreigners make up close to 20% of the Canadian workforce now in the private sector. And CBC executives take advantage of that increase in funding that the Liberals gave them. All that and a lot more on the really big show. But let's kick it off with the premiers. The premiers of Ontario and Saskatchewan and Alberta signed an MOU calling for construction of new pipelines using Ontario steel. So there's three of them ready to get rumbling, eh?
Yeah, exciting. It's looking like we're going to go eastward, and it looks like they're also planning one of those deep seaports for James Bay. So
Manitoba worked in there. So there you go. So that is Doug Ford, Danielle Smith, and Scott Moe. You thought those three would get together and do something. David Eby,
and they're also
out in the cold.
They're also asking for rail lines for Ontario's Ring of Fire, which is pretty exciting because right now that's one of the most critically important things for our resource sector, and it's not even accessible all year round. We don't have all-season roads to those mines.
The economic engine of Canada, really, Alberta, Saskatchewan, and Ontario. That is the engine. And BC used to be part of that engine, but BC seems to have other priorities at this point.
New friends?
And Hudson Bay, that in Northern Ontario would be a great place, or in Alberta. In Manitoba as well. So there you go. We'll see if Manitoba signs on with that too, right? So, but I mean, very rich in mining in Saskatchewan, very rich in mining in Ontario as well. The Timmins area, lots of like really big mines in Ontario and Quebec, for that matter, and obviously the oil and gas that's in Alberta.
Yeah, well,
potash, uranium, everything. Right?
You always say it. We are the most resource-rich nation by
diversity.
Diversity. That's the word.
We are clearly that extremely rich nation by diversity, but we've had governments in place right now that have suppressed our riches for, like Danielle Smith and Doug Ford, and I'm calling them to get rid of those bills that actually hold us back, right? So those are the things that...
Yeah, it's exciting to see those three economies working together.
We're going to listen to Danielle Smith here. We're going to play a clip from Danielle Smith right now.
In taking a united front, but we cannot achieve our shared provincial goals without cooperation from the federal government. Alberta knows this. Saskatchewan knows this, Ontario knows this, and it's time for the federal government to acknowledge it as well. And if Prime Minister Mark Carney doesn't want to work with us, it's not just myself and Scott Moe he'll have to worry about. He'll also have to contend with Premier Doug Ford, who has said many times he'll be all over him like an 800-pound gorilla. So it's time to get rid of the bad laws that have harmed Canada's ability to grow the energy sector and other industries such as mining and manufacturing. By now, you should all know these bad laws that I speak of quite well. Bill C-69, the oil and gas emissions cap, the tanker ban, the net zero vehicle, and net zero electricity mandates. Removing these anti-resource, anti-development laws will allow Alberta, Saskatchewan, and Ontario to attract the investment and project partners we need to get shovels in the ground, grow industries, and create jobs. So I'm excited to continue collaborating so that we can reach our shared goals, including to advance pipelines and responsible energy development. This new way of working together across provincial borders will benefit the people of Alberta, Saskatchewan, and Ontario, and ultimately all people across Canada.
Who would have thought the most powerful person in Canada would be Danielle Smith? She's getting stuff done.
She's got her 800-pound gorilla coming.
she's got her 800-pound gorilla, Doug Ford there. Doug Ford, the conservative / liberal / who knows. Doug Ford, he also has a big economy there in Ontario for sure. And Doug Ford put out a tweet there and says, thrilled to work with Premier Danielle Smith to extend our agreement to include Scott Moe. And I knew that Ian and I talked about this a while back, that Scott Moe would definitely put his paw into that mix. Why wouldn't he, right? Saskatchewan has a ton to offer. And they build trade corridors to Ontario for critical minerals and Western Canadian oil and gas. Together, we're growing our economy. So there you go.
Do you foresee BC being able to join up?
The current environment in British Columbia is different than what those three people are looking at, for sure. I think there's more of a anti-oil and gas and even mining. It takes 20 years to get a permit. Our forestry sector is in shambles. They need to find a way to draw investment back to British Columbia. I just don't know. In this current environment, we hear over and over and over again how they drive investment away. Our real estate market, even one of the things that British Columbia had going for it.
We're going to hear later about their debt increase as well.
Yeah, I just did prior to this, we did a show with MNP, one of the trustee insolvency experts there, or insolvency trustee, and the majority of British Columbians are worried about making their debt repayments, and that is like credit card debt and all kinds. They're just swamped. They're over their heads in this stuff. So tough slugging for many British Columbians, right? They use their credit cards to pay for groceries.
It's kind of like the government using credit.
Yeah,
everyone's on credit these days.
And then to add to the Canadian economic woes, this is why we need to get our energy sector. I mean, our trump card, literally, our trump card is our resources, and yet we have so many politicians that don't want to use them. And here's a Blacklock story here that is Canadians fear job losses with a recession likely by 2026, and that is an in-house Bank of Canada research. The new data released yesterday followed Governor Tiff Macklin's forecast that another interest rate was likely. Consumers continue to see the labor market as soft. We're starting to see layoffs everywhere too, right? Against this backdrop of ongoing trade uncertainty, about 2/3 of consumers continue to expect the Canadian economy to fall in a recession in the next 12 months. And meanwhile, again, the tale of the two nations in the U.S., it seems to be going like tons of investment going into the U.S., cutting taxation, cutting regulation. And it's tough to compete. They got a brain drain and also a capital drain. We're going to talk about that later too, how Canadians are actually investing, including Brookfield and Carney, right?
Yeah, and then we've got Canadians here. 2/3 of consumers continue to expect the Canadian economy to fall into a recession over the next 12 months. So not so optimistic.
So the next rate announcement here is July 30th here in Canada. And tariffs are well above the levels at the beginning of 2025. And new trade actions are still being threatened. The longer these tariffs go on, the longer this uncertainty goes on, the more it is going to weigh on the Canadian economy. And that is the big thing, right?
When you read deeper into the issue, it is everyone. That's the main thing driving this is these looming tariffs. So we got the interest rate cut coming, and then a deal August 1st. Are we going to see the deal?
Are we going to see a deal? Well, according to Trump, there is a deal. That is the deal. So we'll see.
Art of the deal.
The pipeline. Like that's the key. Like how do we get, people don't realize that pipeline, the one we have that goes south right now, I mean, that's why Western Canadian Select sells at a discount. We need to get it to a different port so we can actually get a market rate for our oil. Anyway, Danielle Smith also in the news by saying, like, she demanded an apology from Jasper when they appeared to Colorado. It was more the media that called out Alberta's reaction to the Jasper fires, but the town of Jasper did clarify, and she did put out, we appreciate the town of Jasper has clarified their intent of their recovery report and acknowledged that it never intended to be critical of the province's contributions. In the statement, the municipality of Jasper is clear that they recognize the value that Alberta provided. And that is,
well, Danielle Smith came out and said she thought it was a bit politically motivated. They kind of failed to mention that the provincial government spent $181 million.
$181 million.
I'm reading the numbers.
Yeah.
And federal actually only spent $160, according to what we have right now.
And then Stephen Guilbeault, who was the environment minister at the time, neglected Jasper's impending doom there with
Well, it's a national park, so it was a federal responsibility to maintain those forests.
Stephen Guilbeault. There's some people out there calling for his resignation over the Jasper fiasco, but we'll see where that goes. Yeah. We'll see where that goes in this cabinet shuffle that's coming up here.
It looks like we're going to get a whole new cabinet at
this rate. We've heard rumors that Stephen Guilbeault may be on the list of the shuffle, but that'll remain to be seen. I'm sure if there's a pipeline and that the feds support it, that will drive Stephen Guilbeault crazy because he's dead set against pipelines. He's dead set against even building roads, never mind pipelines. He said that when he was environment, he didn't want any more roads in Canada.
You're supposed to walk?
Apparently. And then, some of the Liberal ministers said at the time that they don't want you even vacationing. Meanwhile, they fly all around the world.
Well, wasn't there like $100,000 the NDP just used on helicopters in their budget?
Yeah, but that's different though, right?
Well, still though.
And then
spending.
We talked about this story a while ago, but John Barlow just put this back out, another MP that says we talked about this thing about a week ago. This new kind of tax that they're trying to put on, this tax that they're going to put on what was called this tax now?
Clean energy,
fuel.
Clean fuel.
Yeah, clean fuel standard, and that's going to add quite a bit to the cost of.
13 cents a liter by 2030 is what they're predicting.
So just another way to disguise it.
I crunched the numbers this morning. So the goal is to reduce the emissions by 30 million tons a year. And 30 million tons is 0.8 days in China, 2 days in the US, and 3 days in India. So
China is advancing its clean energy program at the same time, not penalizing their citizens as well. So they have they add about a gigawatt of energy a day. It's almost equivalent to a nuclear plant a day in solar, and without penalizing their citizens.
Well, and they don't penalize innovation either.
No. And this one is maybe surprising to some, and maybe not surprising to others. And this is from Holly Donald Blacklocks again. Foreigners in Canada now on temporary work permits are the equivalent of 18.5% of the private sector workforce. That's a crazy number.
Yeah, I wonder about the public sector as well, because whenever you're calling up the government hotlines, it does seem like foreign workers.
3 million, that's
numbers.
Over 3 million people, 3 million foreign workers. That represent about 18.5% of the private sector workforce that totaled about 16.5 million, right? The Immigration Department estimates the population of foreigners in Canada illegally, including students, visitors, and the migrant workers whose permits have expired, around 500,000.
Yeah, that's 500,000 people who don't have a permit right now that are just sitting in Canada.
And then I think that the government said that they'll leave on their own.
We'll see.
And again, from Holly, this is Melanie Joly. She's the industry minister. She announced yesterday a $1.9 million federal aid to a production company currently in bankruptcy proceedings. And that's the Just for Laughs. You've probably seen that on television before, Just for Laughs.
Gags.
Yeah, there you go.
Originally the story, I thought, support comedians, support comedy, support art. But then when you read into it further, it's since 2018. It's not like a pandemic thing. They've been running this business bad for a long time. So why are we bailing them out? Well,
the case is ongoing, but Just for Laughs creditors are owed about $23.7 million, including the $1.9 million to the Business Development of Canada. And there's Melanie Joly chucking some more at it.
Well, we'll see if
good
she
money
gets
after bad.
Shuffle the cards.
There you go. And then this is out from another MP here. That this past weekend, the deadline passed for Canada to reject the WHO. The Americans rejected it, as did Italy, to the WHO regulations. Canada did not reject these binding regulations, which would grant power to the WHO to influence Canada's public health response during a global health crisis. So yeah, so they missed that, or missed it, or intentionally missed it, I guess is the question.
Well, apparently they didn't even discuss this in Parliament, which is a bit of an oversight. Again, it's just very vague things that we've agreed to, so who knows what implementation will actually look like.
Well, the Americans and the Italians said no go. There you go. And then an Alberta mother feared the worst for a 4-month-old that got measles. Morgan Birch wants Canadians to educate themselves on the importance of vaccines following a scare with her infant and measles. Her daughter, Kimmy, was too young to get the vaccine when she contracted the disease at just 4 months old. Birch now worries about the potential for long-term health complications that could arise from getting such an illness at a young age. Canada is currently experiencing a large multi-jurisdictional measles outbreak that began in October 2024. And then,
there's 3,800 confirmed cases. I'm not good at numbers.
And for the most part, they thought that measles was kind of done in Canada, but then it's been kind of like
I think
credited towards all the immigration.
Right? And this is one where it's a disease we've destroyed before. It is an optional vaccine, which is interesting. You won't be allowed to go to certain schools and things. But this is a vaccine that we see we had eradicated this disease, and now it's coming back.
And then there's been talk. But it has been traced to immigration in areas of countries that didn't really vaccinate for measles.
Oh, interesting. I haven't heard that.
There you go. You heard it here first. And this this by-election in Crowfoot there that Pierre Poilievre's going to run in Battle River there. This ballot is just out of hand now. 135 candidates registered. It's $1,000 deposit is refundable if the candidate submits the required documentation and earns at least 10% of the valid votes. So it's only going to cost them $1,000. So it's like nothing to kind of try and destroy an election of the leader of the
You're not getting any of this money back.
the official
None of them
opposition.
are getting 10%. So that guy, I can't remember his name, who funded everyone, has spent $135,000
Yeah, but they don't.
so far
At that
on
point,
this
they don't
riding.
care if they can wreck the
Well, yeah, they don't care if
election
it's-
for the official opposition,
To the average
right?
Canadian, though, that's a huge amount of
To
money
the average
throw
Canadian,
around.
but when you're talking millions of dollars, like that last election cost over $500 million.
Yeah, it was something close to $20 a person in Canada.
So there you go. Pierre Poilievre, they've put a letter forward asking for action against this blatant abuse of the democratic system, this so-called longest ballot committee. And guess who? CBC, Rosemary Barton, interviewed the guy, too, to give even more credibility to that. They don't interview some stuff on Bill C-18, but they sure do this stuff, right? Again, it just looks like partisan politics when they do stuff like that. And it kind of looks really, this blatant abuse undermines the integrity of our elections. It's just,
It is interesting because you'd think those ballots are humongous, and you're feeding
what a
them
waste of
through
money,
the
too.
machines too. It's
What a
like,
waste of
does
money.
the yeah, I would think people would have to. There'd be a lot of accidents.
well, when you get it, when you go to do the vote,
That's
right?
what I
You
mean,
got to,
like,
because you got to
malfunctions,
go, you
that's
got to
the
go
word I'm
find who
looking
you're
for.
voting for, right? So that's what it is just to cause,
But when it goes through to get tallied, I'm saying that must cause a lot of problems feeding it in and.
but again, what's the purpose of it? They didn't do it for Mark Carney's. Do you know what I mean? They didn't do it in his riding. They targeted Pierre Poilievre twice.
Oh yeah, there's no doubt that there's.
They talk about it. They want election reform, but they've targeted a certain
person.
person. Yeah,
Yeah,
there you go.
definitely beyond that.
And then this is from Rachel Thomas. She's saying that CBC's reckless spending continues. They canceled the executive bonuses because that was that hearing with Catherine Tate there a year ago. And, Canadians don't like bonuses, so they just tacked it onto their salaries. So
then they get it every year.
Yeah, they handed up $37.7 million in raises instead. There you go. So they got... So in the election, the Conservatives were running on repealing Bill C-18, which is freedom of the press, really. And they ran on that they were going to fund local independent journalism, and they ran on that they were going to actually spend with local independent journalism. The Liberals, on the other hand, ran on increasing the funding to CBC. But on the way out the door, though, this is important. On the way out the door, Justin Trudeau and Pascal St-Onge, who was in charge of the Heritage Minister at the time, wanted to double the CBC's funding. Double it to like
Around
$3 billion. And Carney only gave them an extra $100 million. What did they do right away? First thing they did, the CBC executives, what did they do? Gave themselves a raise. Because they said Canadians don't like bonuses. So they just gave themselves a raise and put the bonus right on the check. And it's record-breaking raises to offset their loss of executive bonuses.
Yeah, well.
Offset the losses.
They're going to have a lawsuit coming, so they should save some money for that.
Yeah. Anyway, Bill C-18, free the media, repeal Bill C-18, free the media. We should not have government-funded media. We should have free the media. Anyway, on to our international news. This is an odd one. This is what seems to happen in a lot of these charities. This is fire aid. Fire victims lost their, but not a single dollar from that $100 million event that was raised for them reached them. And I watched the Fox News segment on it. People can say, "Oh my God, Fox News." But the money went to not-for-profits and weird ones, like, for cleaning toilets and stuff like that. So,
and the woman speaking, she lived in the Palisades, and she was a reporter.
She was a reporter that lost her house.
And one of the nonprofits you're talking about, it was a nonprofit for cleaning preschool bathrooms.
Well, of course they needed the money, right?
Got an undisclosed amount.
Of course they needed the money.
Another nonprofit that was for mobile homes. There's 2 mobile home parks in the Palisades.
Neither got money.
Nobody in those mobile homes got money.
Yeah, we're going to play a small clip from it here, actually. We got a clip here from it.
Aid, that star-studded concert that raised $100 million for wildfire victims. But where did all that money go? Investigative journalist Sue Pascoe has been digging for answers, and what she's discovered might just surprise you. And Sue Pascoe, she joins me now live on set. You are the editor of Circling the News.
Yes,
we can clearly see that. Thanks for the work that you're doing. So this is personal and professional for you because you lost your home in the Palisades fire, but that's not necessarily how this story landed in your lap. How did this all come to be?
A reader sent me a little note and said, I've never seen any fire aid money. How do I apply for fire aid money? And I thought, well, you know, I've never thought about that. There's 12,000 people, basically 12,000 homes gone. Those people probably want to know where the money is. This will be an easy task to find out. So I contacted the Annenberg. They never responded.
And the Annenberg is
Foundation, because they are overseeing the wildfire funds, yes. So I emailed them several times. They never responded. I called them several times. They never responded. And finally, it was like almost 2 weeks later, a woman got back to me and she said, oh, I'm sorry for the delay. The person you need to speak to is Chris Wallace. He's a media spokesperson for wildfire funds. So I contacted Chris and I said, you know, victims want to know when they can get their money. Seems like a very simple question. He said, basically, they don't. All this money are going to nonprofits, and then nonprofits will take care of making sure the money's distributed. So
And many of those nonprofits have executives making six-figure salaries as well.
Imagine that. Imagine that. Eh?
Something, yeah, unimaginable. That
So
never
people, when they
happens.
donate the money, they think it's going to the victims. And where is it going?
Pockets.
Somebody's pockets. There you go. And then 28 countries called for the end of Israel's war on Gaza, and that was Canada was in that list as well.
And the UK was interestingly as well, so we will see what happens here.
Yeah. So there you go. Canada. That was Anita Anand that put that tweet out the other day. So yeah. And then Stephen Colbert. Colbert got canceled, and Stephen Colbert, you know, he's going on like Hunter Biden, and he's using the F-bomb there.
Well, he's blaming Trump, but he hasn't been funny for years, realistically.
Well, I mean, I was going to play that clip again, but we played it the other day. If you want to go back to it, the vaccine one where he was pushing vaccines too. Like, what is a comedian doing pushing vaccines? Supposed comedian,
And you
right?
know, if you're gonna push and be funny about it, that dance number was
You know, like
cringy.
the late night show. I mean, I watched it from Johnny Carson times. I don't know if you're probably young for Johnny Carson. Johnny Carson.
Yeah, I had the jimmies.
and then David Letterman, and then this. There you go. This. And,
Well, and it's kind of the death of.
and Johnny Carson said he would never do
mainstream
politics.
media that we're
Never do
seeing.
politics.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there you go. Although Fox's numbers are way up, the rest of them are dying on the vine, right? We've seen Joy Reid lose her job as well, where she cried when she left. I mean, she was definitely a very negative person that said some very negative things. But there you go, Colbert.
Goodbye.
And then Stephen Colbert also doing, he did a meme there, Coldplay recreates the Coldplay kiss cam. I don't think we have that. I thought we were going to play it, but
I'm
obviously.
so sick of that kiss cam.
But he's insinuating that Donald Trump and Paramount are all in and on together or whatever. So
Of course he is. Neither of them like
none of it. Don't take any responsibility for your own show being canceled, which was in the red,
Well,
which
that's
they
what I
showed.
mean.
Like New York posted an article.
It's not funny.
And also
Sorry.
that they're losing money, just for laughs, is losing money. Yet, you know, they just want it to be funded
I
in
wonder
perpetuity.
how John Oliver's going to fare.
John Oliver, yeah, there you go. In BC news, Ontario, Alberta, Saskatchewan just signed a deal, and we talked. You know, when the Liberals ran, they talked about how they were going to do this one economy instead of 13. And where's British Columbia? Not BC refused.
Just completely refused?
Yeah, they're not in there. Are they?
Yeah.
Do you see them standing in there?
Not
Do you
yet.
see them? Because the Western Canada used to stand together. Western Canada used to stand together, and that was one of the things. Forestry and mining in British Columbia was, and we also have LNG in that too, and hydro. We used to be like an economic powerhouse as well. You know, when Alberta was doing well, you know, it was kind of up and down, but BC's on a different path.
Where do you think that path's headed?
Well, like I said, I just did prior to this show. People can go watch it with MNP. The majority of British Columbians are worried about debt repayment. Like, that's where we're at. That's where British Columbians are at. They don't understand that. British Columbians are at. Even David Eby himself has said, we're seeing investment capital flow out of British Columbia. Well, the Airbnb policy, we see the cranes coming down in Kelowna, and the cranes are not going back up.
We see
Tourism is hurting.
The rental buildings empty.
Yeah. So, well, they're not empty, but the vacancy rate is getting higher and higher. That's for sure. And again, in Vancouver, we're seeing lots of problems too.
2 months free rent. That's pretty unheard of.
And then that hijacking, where the American I think it was an F-15 American jet out of NORAD forced this person down. The court records show a second charge against this alleged plane hijacker. The records say a charge of damaging and interfering with a navigation system was sworn against Shahir Qasim. And he's a 39-year-old that had an ideological motive to disrupt airspace because he said he was a messenger of Allah.
To me, this one sounds like a mental illness, but it's sad that people are getting so motivated.
Some people that are driven
they're conflicting religion and environmentalism at this point.
Basically,
or conflating.
Climate activism is basically a religion, and Stephen Guilbeault may be one of the high priestesses for that religion. Yeah, the Pope. Who knows, right? But I mean, sanity has to take over at some point. We need some people that actually care about the economy.
Well, and I'd be interested to hear how he actually got through the security, got on the plane. It's quite a lapse.
Well, it was a Cessna that he took from the flight instructor. It's a small plane, the flight instructor. He took a small Cessna.
So he just hijacked it with the instructor next to him?
No, they kicked the instructor out, so he's by himself. But anyway. An overnight stabbing on BC bus sends 22-year-old to the hospital with life-threatening injuries. A young man was critically injured in the Vancouver stabbing over the weekend. According to police, it happened on the city bus near Burrard Street Bridge around 3 a.m. Sunday. Don't ride the bus late at night, I guess, right? The officers arrived to find a 22-year-old man suffering from life-threatening injuries. He was transported to the hospital. No further updates right now. A suspect, 28-year-old Parsa, I'm not going to be able to pronounce this name, Ganjiza Deza Harev. Well, it's a long name, but you want to take a whack at it?
20 letters, maybe count the letters, but I'm not going to.
He was arrested near Burrard and Cornwall Avenue. He's since been charged with aggravated assault with a weapon and possession of a weapon for dangerous purpose. And he's still in custody, so there you go.
Well, that's good for BC. I feel like our judicial system has been coming to light a few times lately, and I wonder if this man had charges prior, because we often find that these people are repeating offenders that have been released. After
Tamara Taggart called out Ravi Parmar, here's the Conservative Party of BC also calling out NDP Ravi Parmar lied straight to Charlie's family, claiming he was their advocate, and when in reality he ignored them. And that's that sad story of that 10-year-old girl that was denied medication, a very expensive medication, denied that medication until 13 American doctors sent that letter to BC saying that their science was wrong and flawed, that the medication should be re-administered to the child, and David Eby did, and Josie Osborne did then call.
And the positive of this story is that media did hold power to account.
They did a good job at that, for sure.
And they did give it in the end.
They did a really good job there. And then, advocates like Tamara Taggart as well, former CTV journalist as well. Lots of people really held in, including the Conservative Party, actually held the NDP feet to the fire. The sad part is it's a 50-person committee that makes these decisions, anonymous committee, and then 4 of them quit when they had their decision reversed. What kind of person are you if you're denying a child medication? As a parent, you would do anything to help your child get one more day.
Yeah.
Anyway, sadness. Dan Ashton, former politician as well, says that despite the prolific NDP spending, healthcare continues to decline. The NDP does not deliver results. In short, debt has grown much faster under Eby than any of his recent predecessors. And we were talking about that earlier. Just crazy amounts of debt.
Well, we're now at 166 billion. Yeah, I'm not good at numbers this morning. I'm tired. So he's increased our debt by 105 billion. Before Eby, it was 51 billion. Now it's 166 billion. Does BC seem like we've spent 105 billion in the last 10-ish years?
Well, get ready for more, because even British Columbians are tired. Our economy is not doing well here in British Columbia. A lot of the young people, we've done stories on it as well, a lot of the young people leaving British Columbia for Alberta, for cheaper housing, better jobs.
Less taxation.
They don't have a PSD. Like, you buy a used car in British Columbia, you pay 12% at the starting thing, and it tiers from there for a used car. And in Alberta, how much do you pay for a used car? Zero. Even the Desert Fox said that. Zero.
And BC, we're projected to run a deficit through 2027. So you're right, it's not slowing down.
What's the difference between 0 and 12%? 12%. Oh my God, British Columbia, come on. Markets, let's move on to markets. Again, markets are at all-time highs and they're relatively, green, and NASDAQ's off 120. It's just kind of like not doing much there. Markets are kind of relatively. Gold was up though this morning. Gold was up. Gold was up this morning. I'm just trying to get the exact number right now. Gold up about $32 an ounce at 34.30 in American dollars. In Canadian dollars, you want to take a guess? Say you're not good at numbers. We'll take a stab at it.
I'm good at numbers, just not this early in the morning. I'm
46.70 for an ounce of gold. Here's a message, British Columbians and David Eby. We got lots of places to get gold out of the ground. We have lots of potential gold mines here. Look at that, 46.70 an ounce of gold. When can we get a gold mine going here? There's lots of gold mines in Ontario.
Well, did you say 20 years from now? If we start
IAM
now?
Gold just started new. The Cote mine just started recently running there in Ontario. Cote mine from IAM Gold. And where's our mines? Like, where are we going? What are we doing? Gold up. Bitcoin just, like it seems like a Bitcoin story every day now. Bitcoin at just banging on the door of 120 right now, $119,000 in American dollars. You want to take a stab at that one in Canadian dollars?
135?
162
Oh, there we go.
for one Bitcoin.
There we go.
And then take a look at this in Bitcoin. Who owns, what corporations own a lot of Bitcoin? You want to take a look at this? MicroStrategy, that's Michael Saylor.
Oh.
607,000 Bitcoin. 607,000 Bitcoin.
We got Trump there with 18,000 Bitcoin.
Yeah, Trump has a lot of Bitcoin, worth billions of dollars. I think that Trump's Bitcoin is worth about $2 billion. $2 billion.
And
$2 billion.
Tesla up there with a lot
Tesla,
of
and Tesla was accepting Bitcoin way back, I don't know, a number of years ago. They were taking Bitcoin. If you wanted to buy a Tesla, you could use Bitcoin. And then Elon got a lot of flack for that when Bitcoin wasn't such a big deal. He got a lot of grief for it, so he stopped. But he never sold any of the Bitcoin, so
It's doing well.
it did well. Yeah, there you go, Bitcoin. And then there's a few other companies in there and they were starting to see more and more companies add Bitcoin to their balance sheet, especially if they have excess cash.
Well, if the U.S. is going to be this favorable to Bitcoin, I don't see why you wouldn't.
And even in Canada, Mayor Ken Sim of Vancouver wants to make Vancouver the Bitcoin capital of Canada. And Pierre Poilievre, when he was running for leader of the Conservative Party, was promoting Bitcoin quite a bit. And then Justin Trudeau made fun of him at that point. I think he disclosed when he became the leader that he had about $10,000 in Bitcoin. And obviously that's worth a lot more today, but still a very small, compared to Donald Trump, $10,000, $20,000 versus $2 billion. He's got a ways to go to catch Donald Trump.
I wonder how much
Bitcoin holdings.
Brookfield has.
I never hear Mark Carney talk about Bitcoin. Typically, central bankers not big fans of the Bitcoin because it's like kind of a thing there.
Got to diversify your portfolio.
There you go. But all this talk about buy Canada, buy Canada, buy Canada, but we seem to be buying U.S. stocks, and including Mark Carney, over 93% of his holdings are in American stocks, and then that also is into the U.S. Treasuries again. So most of the buying has been stocks, but Canadians also had $20 billion in U.S. issued debt in the last 4 months. So all this talk about Canada being threatened by the United States, we seem more than content to invest in the United States, and including into their debt.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Very much interesting, isn't it? Again, Mark Carney leading the way. He moved Brookfield headquarters to the United States as well.
Yeah.
So there you go. And in our oil and gas sector, the pipeline, West Texas Intermediate off a bit this morning, off about $1 at $65.99, and selling at a discount, Western Canadian Select at $53.60. There you go. And now on to our tech section here. Elon Musk. This thing is getting a lot of fanfare. The Tesla diner, and it says open to the public. You don't even have to have a Tesla to go there, but they're going to put one in at Spaceport in Texas. So look at that picture there. You got the Starship sitting on the pad there at Starbase. What a place to live, Starbase.
Yeah. I feel like Texas will do well with a drive-in diner.
One of my biggest goals when I was, I think, in grade 11, there for a while. I didn't finish that, but...
You wanted to go to Starbase?
No, I wanted to be an astronaut. So there's my chance. I can see if I can get on this ship to Mars. I'm sure maybe some people will pay me to leave here and get on the ship to Mars. Maybe just get me off of this.
Funding.
There you
Start
go. And then big news for Grok. Super Grok, he's having a baby. Congratulations, Grok. He's having a baby. Hey?
I wonder if it's a boy or a girl.
They're going to make an app, a Baby Grok, friendly for kids. So Baby Grok will be developed by Musk's AI company and designed specifically for children with a focus on safe, simplified educational instructions. So our granddaughter uses AI. She talks to it and then asks it to tell a story, and she has communication with it. And she's even smart enough now, just like, when somebody doesn't know the answer to something, she says, "Can we ask Grok?"
Well, and the nice thing, depending on how they make this platform, is right now AI is more text-based and voice-based. I think it's better than all the videos that kids are getting on tablets. So I wonder if there's going to be. I wonder what the platform's going to look like.
Burning daylight just by scrolling, the death scroll, just scrolling and scrolling and scrolling and wait for your time to expire on this planet. Is that what you're talking about?
Start them young.
In our health section, the big news, even BBC started to cover it. Look at this. Coca-Cola will roll out cane sugar in Coke after the U.S. Trump push. There you go. So that's the big...
That's the big story. I'm really hoping that it starts to taste more like Mexican Coke, because I love Mexican Coke.
There you go. They've been using cane sugar.
Precisely. I wonder Canada, what we're on.
And here's a confusing one for you. CTV did this tweet here. It says, eating this ultra-processed food may be good for you and the planet, experts say.
It's interesting because there's no denying that not eating meat is good for the planet. However, I wonder the way they're processing these, do you use as much energy as you would use anyways from raising a cattle?
I'm going to take a hard pass on this. And
Yeah.
I'm trying to convince us, the experts. Whenever I see that headline in there and CTV, I don't know, if you could actually ask Grok how many times CTV and CBC use the words experts say and then avoid all those stories.
Yeah, probably at least once a story, experts say, is put in there, I would assume, at least.
There you go. Experts say.
But yeah, that's one, I need to do more research on this because they are ultra-processed, which probably not good from an energy standpoint. However, are they actually unhealthy for you due to these processes? I didn't have enough time to figure it out this morning. So. Well,
you should just go on and you do a little test yourself. You can go on a steady diet at some of the ultra-processed foods, and we'll check back with you in a year and see how you look.
We'll see if these. But the other thing is, if you're eating vegetarian anyways, do you need to get these chicken nuggets, the fake chicken nuggets?
Have you seen how they make McDonald's chicken nuggets? Yeah. More for you, less for me. How's that? More for you.
We'll see. I'm neither confirming or denying my affiliation and like for these ultra processed soy nuggets.
I'm going to pass. I'm going to pass on the experts say. I'm going to pass on these soy nuggets as well.
Yeah.
We're into our fun section here, the Fool of the Day as well. And then this one here is as a noun, just inflation. The rising cost of voting stupid.
It's got a ring to it.
There you go. I like that. That should be a billboard. That should be a billboard across Canada. And then underneath it says, have you learned your lesson, Canada? No.
Well, we will see.
Just inflation. Don't forget, in the Fool of the Day, Melanie Jolie in the running there by giving a bankrupted Just for Laughs gig another couple $1 million of Canadian taxpayer money here. And then at the Tesla event, there, or the Tesla diner, which is one of the coolest diners I've seen. They had the Jetsons thing. And look at that, Elon Musk with a little X on top, no different than the Jetsons there. And what was the little guy's name in the Jetsons? Elmer, I think, yeah.
Maybe,
Elmo.
yeah.
And then the dog was
that's
Orbit, I think,
cartoon.
right? Was it? There you go. And then this is the best one here. I'm so hungry I could eat a horse. And the cow and the horse just goes, whoop. I've seen those billboards where they're just like, eat more chicken, supported by the cow.
Well, isn't that how it always is?
Eat more chicken. That's it, Fool of the Day.
No, I feel like you and Ian do a better job on the Fool
of the Day. Melanie Jolie for throwing Canadian taxpayer dollars, good after bad, to Just for Laughs.
I would agree with that. If your company is failing, you're an immense company, why are we bailing you out?
$23 million in debt, and then we're going to give them another $2 million.
Yeah.
So that they can maintain their salaries,
or what is that? I originally had
that?
sympathy, but it was before the pandemic that they started to fail. So.
There you go.
Sympathy retracted.
That's our show for today, Tuesday, July 22nd. And we appreciate you watching. And
Like and
subscribe.
subscribe.
Yeah. And then share it too, like share it far and wide. And I like that some people were actually sharing where they're from. That was good. I've got some places here from PG, Shuswap Lake, and different things. People are saying where they're from. I'd like to hear that. There you go. And it says, you've lived under the CBC umbrella for too long. You're starting to like them. Well, there you go. There you go. Thank you. Elroy. That's right. Tony says that.
Elroy, not
There you
Elmer.
go.
Okay.
There you go. Thanks.
There we go.
The Jetsons fans out there. And we're back tomorrow morning on at 9 a.m. I do have at 10:30, we have John Carpe coming in from the Justice Center, lawyer that is actually helping with the Freedom Convoy stuff. He's actually some of the lawyers that are helping Chris Barber there. So interesting. Come back at 10:30 and listen to John Carpe here from the Justice Center.
And we should link those in the show notes.
We should. And then also at noon, Renee Merrifield coming in with Beyond the Ballot. Renee always has tons of good stuff to say. So we had a full day today. So we had, in the morning, we had Janine Herman from MNP talking about British Columbians in debt. So if you want to see that, majority of British Columbians worried about their debt load right now. And then obviously Andrea and I with the Really Big Show. And then at 10:30 we do have John Carpe from the Justice Center of Canada here. And then we're going to talk about Chris Barber and the Freedom Convoy. And then at noon, Renee Merrifield. And then tomorrow morning.
Busy day.
Tomorrow morning, Andrea
again.
is back again.
Practice my numbers tonight.
She's really upped our game and on the show here, especially the visual outlook of the game. There you go. We'll see you tomorrow morning at 9. Come back for 10:30 for John Carpe, and then come back at noon for Renee Merrifield. And until then, thank you for watching Now Media.
We don't just report the news. We live here too. We're your neighbors, bringing you stories that matter to all of us. No government funding, no outside influence. Kelowna Now, local, independent. News you can trust.